Chill you with Sirius Dallas Moon. This is Jupiter, our Saturn day. And I have been tending to the Neptune Pluto cycle, but it's not a full bisextile without tending to the Uranus part. So I'll begin with the Uranus Neptune conjunction. And this, what up? We tired? Hello. Look at this midheaven on my Uranus. And ascendant 2 degrees Pisces, Jupiter in the fifth house. If the moon was not so adjacent to Rahu, I would grab a talisman. But let's just put my Jupiter talisman. I have a Jupiter talisman in Cancer. It's Jupiter Venus. Oh my God, I should be cautious with that one. That's once in 84 years. So let's take a Jupiter talisman. That's a little bit Jupiter talisman. Okay, this one is also. Oh, what did I do? Hello, hello, then Valkyrie talisman. The lost talismans retrieved. Another Jupiter. Okay, this one is Jupiter Venus with Sirius. I just love how I poured my Blue Lotus essential oil into it. And the meeting of the two benefics with the bigger sun. Yes. Now, and a little, well, Chupi Procyon definitely needs a talisman, but it's not gonna happen with the moon applying to Rahu, Saturn, Neptune. um, so I'll just wait for the moon to Taurus, I guess. And let's talk about, this is Jupiter hour. I'm not doing a round moon talisman. I think I have enough of round moon affection, affliction on my chart. And yeah, that's what it is right now. You know, the thing with the B6 I definitely should be honeying up for the water, the air and fire B6. Okay, and I know it's kind of challenging with that Neptune, because Saturn is adjacent to Neptune, and it will be co-present with Neptune. But who knows? I might celebrate February 14 with the Saturn Neptune talisman in Aries. Um, and in case anything, I love you. I have no suicidal thoughts. And it would be very difficult to say if it was the talisman. Um, any case, yeah. I want to look at the Uranus Neptune. And Uranus Neptune. By the way, unsurprisingly, I found that the little perfume company of Sphere and Sundry, Le Toilette, is not shipping to Israel Palestine currently. Either that or it was a Mercury glitch. Um, so I can't give you my trying certain things that I like to try. But here is Pluto squaring Neptune with Uranus conjoining Neptune in Sag, which will build up to Uranus-Neptune conjunction in Capricorn at the beautiful malefic degree 18 degree, what assassinated Nikola Stoyanovich, that was assassinated during COVID and had an 18 degree himself, called pure evil. That's the Nikola Stoyanovich calling that degree pure evil. It's not. um, I know these are different trajectories. Both of them have 18 degrees in the chart, which is associated with poison, difficult to diagnose diseases, and I guess military operations now. Not gonna talk about Adolf Hitler, not gonna talk about Adolf Hitler. Moving on. Where is it? Where is it? (1993). It was 24 October 1993. Uranus and Neptune met on the 18th degree of Capricorn, and that was the opening of a synodic cycle that perfected to what we now know as the bisextile, where Neptune is nearly Aries and Uranus sextiling it from Taurus Gemini. So 1993 was the aftermath of the Gulf War, and the aftermath of the Soviet Union fall. So let's take a look at the 1993. It could also be 1992, 3. Oh no, I'm actually looking for, let's say 1990s. Because it would have kind of like several years up to and during. January 1990 ended in, okay, yes, that's not 1990, 1990s, Britannica. So of course we had the collapse of the Soviet Union. Uranus is revolution, Neptune is dissolution. So the dissolution of a revolution, and we can trace the Soviet Union back to even the Bolshevism, and Uranus coming to rebel, and Neptune is coming to dissolve, and basically the rebellion that started the revolution, or the planet of rebellion, was dissolved, okay, which is the conjoining of something global, Neptune, and ideological Uranus to a mythical degree, Neptune. But the bringing together of these planets blended into a fall of a global idea, or a fall from grace of a global idea. At the sign of Capricorn, it happened because of missing money, debt, not something that is too different from today, except that today Neptune and Uranus meet in a sextile. So, emergence of Google and Amazon, and here we have a global technological powered modern slavery, because Capricorn would be slavery and Uranus would be modern. So we could call it the rise of modern slavery. Let the person with the with the Uranus in the 10th house do that broadcast. And so I know that was the rise of capitalism, tech.com booming. Yes, ending of the Cold War with the collapse of the Soviet Union. So right now we're kind of like amidst a not so cold war. Okay, kind of capitalizing on the residues of Gladio before they dissolve as well. And we might see the beginning or the onset of that dissolution with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction with Saturn ruling over Pluto, out of bounds Pluto, and sextiling Uranus, that that coincides with something that is probably unprecedented. And by the way, it's going to be February 14 when they conjunct. So that is to all the people celebrating Valentine's Day. He might forget to buy you flowers. It's just that there is a Soviet Union megalithic world degree collapse on the planet of missing and forgetfulness. So so this time is not his fault. And while the Persian Gulf War lasted less than a year, it had an enduring impact. The state of the potato. There's a certain stage of dealing with digital warfare where where people become so numb to it and find themselves in ridiculous situations. By the way, the frequency jam tracks that they make for that, basically, it's just funny, are basically kind of like people falling asleep to incredible amount of white noise. And that's not the torture, that's the counter torture. I think this will be remembered as the 2020s. So the 1990s, we had a sitcom, Friends debuted, a show about nothing. I think about the uptick. Atsuko had the idea of a coffee skit, which was so, I felt, as a half Tel Avivian, I felt so called out by that. It's kind of like, my cities would be Tel Aviv and Amsterdam, and I felt so incredibly called out by Atsuko's sitcom. Could you please? No, that's preparing to be a compost. Please.
It's a compost.
Please get the out of my room. I'm recording. Maybe. Everybody sees everything. Tell that to Scorpio. You see, this is why Scorpio is having the square from Aquarius. Because Aquarius is an air sign where, Aquarius is the noticed bitch because everybody has a body, so why hide it? Scorpio hides it. Everybody has weird thoughts and nervous systems, so why, and Scorpio is could be caught unprepared for that dumb fuckery. Anybody who wants to have their privacy will not get along with the Age of Air. A little movie called Titanic, packed theaters, so of course movies about a sinking ship. Because again, we still were in the century where Uranus sextiles Pluto. So this is again a sinking ship movie that made millions, because we had this in the sign of Capricorn, which is accumulating wealth. Again, booming of tech, booming of industry. Grunge music and hip-hop music made a lot of noise. Both of them kind of rebellious. Okay, Neptune can be associated with music, filmmaking. Uranus is unusual. Saturn is black, so this is happening inside of Saturn. So black music and grunge music, which would be the underground of white music, popping up to the air. Saturn rules melanin, Falcon. I didn't make it up. Um, by the way, a lot of the people, Saturn rules the day sect, and a lot of the people that were enslaved, black people, they the benefic of that sect is Jupiter, and a lot of them report their ancestors saying that at least their soul was free because they were filled with gratitude, and how gratitude kept them aligned with their soul in basically satanic type of or diabolical, I think is more type of slavery condition that were absolutely not invented by white people. But we can see how Saturn and the day sect of Jupiter being the benefic uh, is being seen with the attributes of Jupiter, of gratitude, of benevolence, of optimism, and gratefulness, basically create resilience in the face of Saturn, which is slavery, um, and that is in the age where those sects absolutely matter, because there is no sexual sovereignty that could unify into cohesion Jupiter, unify Venus, cohesion Jupiter. I said what I said. I put Jupiter Venus conjunction, okay, and I talk about unify Venus into cohesion Jupiter. And cohesion is a word I got from Austin Coppock, who's a day chart and has his sun in Jupiter sign in the ninth house. So exalted sun in the ninth house. And the word cohesion for Jupiter is about the blending of, talking about the Piscean perspective, the blending of something into growth and expansion. This is why it exalts in the sign of the moon in Cancer, where something is nourished. And now we have Jupiter in Cancer next to Procyon, and almost Jupiter return for several people. More things to do. Solving a math puzzle. Mathematician Andrew Wiles announces the proof of Fermat's last theorem, one of the oldest puzzles in mathematics. 2 years later, he published a stronger, definitive version of the proof. So again, an uptick in technology. We usually see development of mathematics. Neptune is very associated with mathematics. Now, it would be difficult to explain to you that intuition. For example, I have Neptune midheaven, and for me, I would have like a little bit of discalculation with the numbers and numerical expressions. However, I did encounter places where I was shown an equation. I know it's the upside down of how math is supposed to be, but I have a Neptune retrograde, and I would understand the theory and would spot the mistakes in the equation by understanding the theory. I know that's not how we use math, but math, both the emergence from the mathematical discovery and the deductive process into the mathematical equation, or correcting the equation with the theory, is also a way of expanding on a mathematical notion. And in a roundabout way, we can see that, Neptune next to my midheaven, how Neptune is associated with that during the retrograde phase. For the direct phase, it will usually mean that people will have a sense of mathematics, and we would need Neptune. For example, I had a student that had a difficulty with like a dyscalculia, and she would see numbers which sent with with images, whether there would be a lot of things associated with math, that unfortunately we didn't get the time to discover the patterns around that. but I really hope that she will delve into that, because she will probably be incredible mathematician. And by the way, also astrology is associated with math, and the name mathematikoi was basically how they named astrologers. For me, the almost intellectual union with astrosec that allows me to do astrology with the power of computation, that not having, I would probably make a lot of mistakes in calculating charts, and I would only rely on channeling the planets in previous eras or previous times, which would need to conjoin with mathematicians that are hardcore mathematikois and have the computational power. One of the famous conjoining was a different gender, opposite gender was Einstein having the sense of mathematics, and the lady that helped him and later got dividends having the computational power, that of course is an essential part of the discovery. So basically, we should name Einstein's discoveries also on, okay, the computational power that sustained them, and this would be a female mathematician. I don't know what her name is right now, but that could probably be a good synergy if I can get her chart. Mandela becomes president May 10, 1994. First black president of South Africa. Again, ending a 28 years cycle of imprisonment, a Saturn cycle of imprisonment. He had Saturn Procyon, and he played a key role in ending apartheid of racial segregation. So this is again the dissolution and segregation. I talked about melanin folks as related to Saturn rules skin and rules the color black. So black skin, black colored people, okay, dark skinned people, and it also rules age. So it would mean orthodoxy, patriarchy, and older people. And it also rules like poverty. So it would also rule homeless people, and this is where the dissolution of apartheid, which is a boundaries Saturn based on skin, Saturn, color, Neptune, because Neptune has to do with color, and to explain that I would need to retell to you my entire thesis proposal. About when they look into the body mind question, they look usually into how we see colors, because it's a frequency and there's an interpretational part of consciousness that interlays with the frequency, and how we perceive basically colors through the human eye. And Uranus making a revolution around perception of color, but this time in a political setting with a sextile to Pluto. Okay, the amount of unpolitically correct things I just said, but this is also the delineation, okay? It's ending segregation and racial regime, which was apartheid, and dissolving that. So the dissolution is Neptune of apartheid, which would be in that Capricorn, and Uranus is a revolutionary perspective, and it's also, so this is, for example, the dual effective Neptune, because with the Soviet Union it was the dissolution of the Bolshevik Revolution, whereas with apartheid it created a different color combination that actually translated into, and I'm saying color combination as wave frequency, okay? They're with Neptune. Neptune is wave frequencies, okay? It pertains to light, and it pertains to the holistic perspective of something. So this translated into a different color palette, which was the dissolution of a traditional segregational thing that was way before colonialism, Neptune. because Neptune is also colonialism, and it was the disillusion of colonization that infused itself with the bloodline segregation that Mandela was coming to revolt against. And that's why it also took 28 years, Saturn's cycle, to release from apartheid, because what they needed to release from was the previous bloodline segregation that was the foundation, that laid the foundation for colonialism to immerse so well into apartheid in South Africa. Oklahoma City bombing. Again, Uranus's bombs against cities. Space Shuttle Atlantis docks with Russian space station Mir, opening new period of international collaboration in space research and exploration. Now we have to, I also saw that. I saw launching a rocket. Launching a rocket. It came from Elon Musk. And yes, when a billionaire has Raoul Mars in your 12th house. But I saw launching a rocket. Yes, but this is probably why I'm talking about this right now. Because there are going to be major launches. Perhaps they're trying to do something with China. I know that he's been eyeing China and to end that dispute with kind of like collaboration. But this is perhaps launching to Mars. Is it like already launching to Mars? Because Neptune is going to be in Mars sign. Yes. And this is where I have to remind people that Mars is worshipped by defending from rape, not human sacrifice. Okay, just for an entire scientific endeavor not to go kaput. Kaput al goal in that case. So, yes, we're going to have another one event of that. And so we see space collaboration, Uranus space, ending of, okay, the ending of the Cold War, and big launches, and we're gonna see that with the opening sextile as well. OJ is acquitted, criminal trials, probably in light of what we know today. Toy Story, okay, big movie. Why toys? I don't know to delineate that. Oprah's book club. Chess playing computer Deep Blue raises new questions about artificial intelligence. So we have again an uptick in AI, computer interface doing both good things and annoying things. And defeating Gary Kasparov, best human player. So this is where, and this is happening in 96, February 10. So again, this is already opening a trajectory with transhumanism, Uranus, Neptune, when in the century of Pluto sextile, Neptune, how will that evolve when Neptune separates from the sextile with Pluto? I don't effing know, okay? It's like, I don't know. Spice Girls movie or the band. So mythical girls group. Death of Diana. Bilbao's new museum. Kyoto Protocol. Titanic. Viagra. And you think about Viagra as transhumanism, it basically affects, it can cause heart attack, but it affects the blood flow to the genitals, which basically is a form of transhumanism, looking into technology and sex. And the infusion of that which is technological and that which is organic. Google is founded by Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Okay, uptick in the that would already be Neptune ingress into Aquarius. Impeachment of Clinton. I don't know how to delineate that, because before that Clinton talked about, in 1995 he talked about the cloning project, and he talked about the syphilis experiment, is basically trying to defund the classified budget, and we see that coming up again, not just with me. But I predicted that this year is going to be like 95, and so we definitely see certain conversations coming up in that regard. Now, that was 93 and the 1990s. If we go and take a look at 93 again, this is a great page by Britannica. So we have solving a math puzzle, Nobel for Toni Morrison, African American woman to win Nobel Prize for Literature. Canada's first female prime minister. I don't know why. Okay, here is the thing with Uranus. It's not that Uranus is feminist. It's like in a matriarchy, Uranus would be the first man to win a Nobel. This is my prediction about Uranus, because it just creates equity where there wasn't before. Okay? So it's kind of like it's a bad day for Nazi ideology. Uranus is Hitler falling infatuated with Eva Braun. Okay, Hitler had Uranus in Venus sign, which Venus for a male partner can be the spousey, and he fell infatuated with a woman that was coming from the people that he was thinking to, not thinking, that he was saying that he obliterates. Why am I saying that he? Because everybody was Jew at the time. You know, unfortunately, Uranus has a thing about tyrannical regimes, both taking down tyrannical regimes, but also instilling them. And this is why I believe we just see all these things about women, because that was something that was missing Neptune. And when Neptune and Uranus conjoin, that which was missing pops up. Okay, a bad day for people who made people go missing intentionally. Yeah. So I also predict for, you're in a Gemini in general. It's like labor rights, working. It's a Kundalini rise, okay? Falcon, I don't know why Viagra. Pluto was in Scorpio or something. And but particularly 93, it was woman prime minister, which is again Capricorn, okay? It's kind of like the traditional structure. And Uranus is like, okay, let's put a woman there. Kind of like, okay, makes sense. And this is in Canada. Solving a math puzzle. So Eureka Solutions. Uranus is always Eureka Solutions. And now we are in the opening. Now let's take a look at when did we have this beginning of the opening sextile. Okay, we began to have a sextile between Neptune. Okay, Neptune sextiled. The closing sextile probably was when Neptune was in Scorpio, and this was the 67, folks. 66, 7, 8. Okay. And now we're going to have it in 2025. This is chaos theory. Pluto was conjoining Uranus. So it's difficult to separate what was Pluto-Uranus and what was Uranus sextile, closing sextile to Neptune. But this is when we began to apply chaos theory in praxis, in a heart regulating technology. Chaos theory was discovered, and again with Uranus here, as any scientific revolution, the researchers, academic researchers, or the structure of academia was not compatible with the discovery of chaos, and people were afraid to put their name on chaos research. But eventually, that began to be applied, and we already see that in the 60s, chaos theory begins to boom and develop into technology. And now, actually, the folks of Uranus at the end, the folks that are going to begin to have their Saturn maturations, they're now just crossing their Saturn return, that had the Uranus Saturn on the galactic center. Okay, I had the honor to encounter several of these, and for me as a person, although I have a midheaven on the galactic center, as a person that looks into scientific revolutions, new scientific endeavors that are completely new fields, I just stand, awestruck at that, because these folks develop new sciences, refine and perfect them. And this is standing in complete challenge to the Pluto-Uranus of the late 60s, particularly the people that use that technology to regulate the heartbeat and or the brain are the ones that they need to be cautious, because this is I have a Uranus in the middle decan of Sagittarius, and what I saw was where the water meet. If you have the thing that breaks the water stream, okay, then the water meet from both sides, and they begin to intermesh and create beautiful chaotic patterns that do pattern up, and standing in that line, in that juncture, can yield the eurekas for those that try to regulate their heartbeat in the Uranus Gemini, and particularly because we're going to have Saturn. It met with Uranus in Sagittarius, and it's going to meet with Uranus in Gemini, actually in 2030, and those people that are reliant on, with their life or with their heartbeat, on those technologies, they will maybe trying to envision this juncture can give eurekas as to how to refine the technology to go through this phase. Remember the 7 years of Uranus in Sag, which probably began around the 1980s to probably yes, to the end of the 1980s. Okay, so think about what people that already had, like, maybe at that time certain people needed to install like something for their heart, and think about that generation. Okay, um, right now we have an onset of that generation, and how this square um, challenges the technologies that we began to rely on at the onsets of. And here is the thing, the Uranus square would be the development of technology. We saw that with Nikola Tesla. And so the square from the other one would be the refinement of that technology. So we're going to have refinement for a lot of cows-based technology, from chips to heart regulation, heartbeat regulation, weather regulation, and the countering technologies to like frequency jammers, and in assisted of targeted individuals technologies. Yeah, so that was Chaos theory. That was it was the onset of the oil crisis, which changed the way Israel is being discussed in high-ranking peer-reviewed journals. Before 73, it was impossible to talk about Israel. Israel tried to recreate that situation, and all of its asbara fell flat, um, because we are moving out of oil, and oil created a blessing for Israel, and it's called also the curse of resources. But this is a different curse of resources, because we are dealing with entire Hasbara endeavor falling completely flat. Probably that was predicted and maneuvered, but this is where okay, this is where the oil crisis would change the face of the Middle East relations. And in the 1990s, we will see the Gulf War and the invasion to Iraq, to the oil reserves of Iraq. After completely shifting the face of Iran. I know Iran is going through changes right now as well. And that was decentralizing the power of Israel as the Western so-called villa in the jungle in terms of oil and nuclear energy, which is the very weird, intricate relations to the nuclear project in Iran. So more things to do with the 67 hippies generation, whether it's the why are we fighting for Nam, and why should we go to the army after we won the war in Israel, which was answered by the 73 crisis. My parents were just getting married in Netherlands, and it wasn't possible to send them any messages, but via usual mail. There was no email back then, not public, because they were afraid of the mail bombs. So that was yes, that's a piece of history. So what can I say? Um, More to do with that conjunction, or with that closing sextile. Well, we would need to look. Uh, we would need to understand that we just opened. Okay, we just very recently, if we talk about 93, it's incredibly recently that we opened a synodic cycle with Uranus and Neptune. And now Uranus is sextiling Neptune from a conjunction with Sedna, and is trining Pluto. And we are already at the onset of the Uranus-Pluto conjunction. If we want to see exactly where that meeting was, then we can look at Uranus-Pluto, which was 1965, 1966, 16 and 17 degrees of Virgo. That would be interesting. That would be before 67, but still within the range of, okay, of all the things I talked about. Nam, that would be Nam. I just, everybody thinking about MASH. I'm thinking about Kim Jong-un as MASH with the leaked satellite during the Pluto square of Kim Jong-un. It's there's a lovely caricature, not caricature, satire of the hippies with famous politicians, including Kim Jong-un dressed as a hippie in a Tel Aviv gallery next to Saruna Center. By the way, I was walking yesterday and I just thought about walking from the train station to Azrieli, which is kind of like our 9/11 with the mall and the trade centers, I meant. And the Kiryat, which is kind of like the military, it's kind of like the Pentagon. Next to the museums and the National Library, all conjuncted. And yeah, I mean, in Tel Aviv. And I was looking at that from a perspective of thinking about, what if somebody came to visit, or if I had to walk somebody down Tel Aviv, and all the while there was a yoga class of the people that are waiting for the bones of the kidnapped dead people to return, and sunflowers next to that. So yes, that was that was a conjunction of many things. Um, with basically looking at something so mundane for me in completely new eyes. Just think of, like, that's so unsafe. But this is a small country, so a decade of revolution. The 60s timeline, this is PBS. Okay, that one takes a little bit of while. Some people prepare, how do I say that? But with my situation, it's really impossible. Okay, I have to broadcast it as soon as I film and set it online, because the things I'm dealing with is not possible to prepare and to present and so on. And so you see the type of things I'm tending to. So so I just made the live with me format that is a bit more 1980s, I guess. It's a bit more technocratic, but nevertheless has its glory. And yes, some people envy the ability to press record, think with the crowd, even AI interface, telepathy, and various mixes of reality and technology. So we are thinking with transhumans. Play on that definition as you wish. 1960s, Nam, Beatles, British invasion of US music market. It is an invasion. And we understand that the music is imbued with intelligence, so that would be the MI6 versus the CIA. 1969 Woodstock Festival, Neil Armstrong, Moonwalk, Cold War, Space Race, Stonewall riots, gay liberation. Not me talking about transhumanism, double entendre, and gay revolution. That uncomfortable moment when that uncomfortable moment where we had the D666 winning and people saying, oh, I'm so proud to have the first gay prime minister in Netherlands. And yes, anyway, moving on. 15 to 55 million people died. I didn't mean to laugh reading this. I was just beginning to read, not knowing what am I reading, and that was quite obvious. 15, I'm sorry, even liggen vol. Oh damn, that's not funny. 55 million people died in 1961 and 66 in the Cultural Revolution, which unfortunately we kind of having the timestamp of. So then again, I have no suicidal intentions and I love you. Me being uncivil, me being at risk for the Cultural Revolution. Purge traditional Chinese practices and ideas. Assassination of JFK. Martin Luther King Jr. make his I Have a Dream speech. But again, he had to be compliant with the idea of black men raping women and using that as fear tactic. I guess otherwise he would be assassinated earlier. I don't know. And then and thereby the dream was not to come true because of that caveat. Okay, a human being launched into space, orbiting Earth, performing spacewalks. If you believe they put a man on the moon, and counter-cultural decade. Yes, Uranus counters something rebellious, something revolution in social norms, including religion, morality, law and order, clothing, music, drugs, dress, sexuality, formality, civil rights. Just a bunch of Satanists doing ritual abuse, the same as before, but highly glorified. Am I wrong or am I, it would be the onset of, again, of course, in civil society is different, and even not. I mean, Jonathan Geffen said it was absolutely, it was just rape. It was just rape. They were just raping people and calling it sexual freedom. And all the cults, all the what was it? That guy. But you know that I'm right, you know. Um, the upside down scale, yes, of course, but that's not new. Um, some people denounce the decade as one of irresponsible excess. No, that's not what it was. Flamboyance, also not what it was. Decay of social order that never has been one. And the fall of relaxation of social taboos. Yeah, relaxation of social taboos. Um, Basically, it was a megalithic agenda to hypersexualize under the guise of breaking taboos. Um, it would contribute to people actually wanting to explore the sex that they do want, kind of like after the aftermath of the Me Too. Um, but it was definitely not what they say it was. But what can you expect from people that are still expected to call the exposure of ritual abuse satanic panic? Um, Anyway, folk music revival, including poetic lyrics of Bob Dylan, cultural decade, swinging 60s. Again, it would have been that with sexual sovereignty, but there wasn't any. Just like I said, Pluto Aries square could have simply be a couple of trans people having an orgy, but without the sexual sovereignty, it's just not. And that's why we have A-bombs. I mean, it could be. So, the presidents Eisenhower, Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, um, Nixon spying on the government, better known as the Watergate. And I don't see anything wrong with spying on the government. There were probably way worse things that he did. But that was the first time where somebody was spying on the government, allegedly, and and not the other way around. Um, yes, assassination of Kennedy, Keynesian and staunch anti-communist social reform. Um, So it would have been another blacklisting commies, which basically means just blacklisting people for no godforsaken reason under the guise of communism by the very oil companies that funded the Bolshevik Revolution. Algorithming people. That's what that's what it was. Cuban Revolution led by Fidel Castro. You see, here's the thing with Aquarius ascendants. I actually have an Aquarius ascendant solar return here still. But with Aquarius ascendants, it's kind of like they had their 12th house in Capricorn, so they couldn't say it. Pisces ascendants already feel helpless about existing, so like, whatever. Then. And we got the Pluto in Aquarius. We got the Pluto in Aquarius in our 12th house. Okay? We cannot tie our shoelaces, but we can decipher scientific revolutions of millennia casually while trying to go to sleep. It's a Pisces quality. That's we are benefically useless and malefically competent in being benefically useless. Okay, when did that Mao Zedong died? Yeah, 1976.